Hello friends, you all are welcome to our analysis of one very important topic, the report of the 15th Finance Commission. In fact, this report is very important because many questions can be framed for GS paper 2 and GS paper 3. Many direct questions can be framed, and even if no direct questions are coming, even then the various facts and recommendations of this report can be used as content, as references in various answers. So let us begin our analysis, but before that let us see the title of the report. The title of the report is the Finance Commission in COVID time. So this is how the term COVID has appeared in the title of the report also. This article has been largely sourced from Yojana March 2021. So now let us begin our analysis, friends, but before that let us see some of the important facts. The most important fact is that this Finance Commission acts as the balancing wheel of fiscal federalism. See, what is fiscal federalism? In fact, federalism is the vertical power sharing. Vertical power sharing. That means the power sharing between the center as tier 1, then we have states as tier 2, then we have the PRIs and the ULBs. So this is how the vertical power sharing is the federalism in short. And of course fiscal, when we speak about the income and the expenditure, then it is the fiscal federalism. So the vertical power sharing in terms of income and expenditure, that is the fiscal federalism. Finance Commission acts as the balancing wheel. We will see how it acts as the balancing wheel. For example, the vertical sharing between central and states, okay, and horizontal sharing among the states. It is one of the important function of the Finance Commission to recommend on these things. So this is how it acts as the balancing wheel. The second important aspect is the constitutional provisions, various constitutional provisions relating to the Finance Commission. So there are various articles also which we are expected to know. Some of the important articles have been referred here. These are this article 280, then we have this 275. Then we have 270. Article 280 is very important because this article says that the President shall constitute a Finance Commission every 5 years or even before that. And this article 280, this has various, in fact under clause 3, there are various terms of references for Finance Commission which are specific, okay, specifically given in article 280 as such, and there are some additional TOR which can be assigned to the Finance Commission by the President. Okay, so this is how some specific terms of references for Finance Commission. For example, this clause 3 itself, it mentions that the Finance Commission shall recommend how the net proceeds of taxes are to be distributed between the union and states. So this is how a specific TOR and some additional function can also be assigned to the Finance Commission. One very good example for this 15th Finance Commission is the funding mechanism for defense and internal security. So this is how additional function can also be given to the 15th Finance Commission. Then we can see that the Finance Commission is there to correct the structural and inherent imbalances between resources and expenditure of the union state. That's why it is the balancing wheel. Okay, we will see various vertical and horizontal transfer as such. So now let us see some other important aspects. So the most important that comes is the vertical transfer. Vertical transfer, that means the transfer that is to be there between union and the various states. So this is how the union and various states. So this is the vertical transfer, and among the states, that is the horizontal transfer. So this is how important. Now let us see one more important thing, that under 7th schedule there is division of power. Okay, there is division of power between the union and the states. There are 3 lists, union list, concurrent list and the state list. So as per those lists, the 7th schedule, as per, there is division of power, and corresponding to that division of power, there are various sources of taxation for the center and for the states, and also there are various responsibilities for expenditure also to the states and to the center. Okay, this is how one very important aspect. Now let us see, there are 3 important issues. There are 3 important issues as regards the vertical transfer. Okay, so the first important aspect is the structural imbalance, and this can be seen from this data. In fact, this data has been taken from the report of 15th Finance Commission itself. So if we see this data, we will find that if 100 rupees are the gross revenue, okay, gross resources, then out of that 100 rupees, 62 is raised by the union. Okay, on the other hand, if 100 rupees is the expenditure, then 62 is the expenditure that is incurred by the state. So this is how we can see that the states are earning nearly 38 rupees here, but expending nearly 62 rupees. So this is what the structural imbalance is there, and this is what one of the specific terms of reference given under Article 280 clause 3, that the Finance Commission will recommend how the distribution between union and the states will be there about the net proceeds of the taxes. Okay, so this is how it is. So one structural imbalance, this is one issue. Then the second issue that we have about vertical transfers, that also should be known by us. This is the second issue. The second issue is about the declining share of divisible pool of resources. Okay, so divisible pool of resources. In fact, let us first see what is divisible pool of resources. So in fact, from all taxes, if we subtract cess, surcharge, and also the cost of collection, okay, cost of collection, if these three things are subtracted from all taxes, then that is the net proceeds of all taxes, and that is the gross that is the net proceeds of taxes, and that is called the divisible pool. So this is what divisible pool. So this divisible pool, okay, that is to be divided between the center and the states. This divisible pool is in fact less than 2/3 of gross revenue. Gross revenue, that means all the taxes. So this is how it is less than 2/3 of the gross revenue. So this divisible pool is getting less and less in the share. So this is second important issue. Why it is getting less and less? Because there is increasing share of cess and surcharges. So this is how we can see in the current budget also, we can see how there are certain cesses also. So the second issue. Now the third issue is that after GST regime, so the third issue in case of this vertical transfer is the GST regime. After the GST regime, there is loss of financial autonomy to the states, okay, and in fact the states have lost much of their individual resource raising ability. So that's why there is some issues also regarding the vertical transfer. So these issues were very important. Now let us see some recommendations of this 15th Finance Commission. So 15th Finance Commission in terms of vertical transfer has recommended 41% of devolution from the divisible pool. We have already discussed what is divisible pool. So from the divisible pool, 41% will be devolved to the states. Okay. During 14th Finance Commission, it was 42%. So 1% adjustment has been made because of the changed status of the Jammu and Kashmir. So this is how. So what is the utility of this vertical transfer? So first is that it alleviates the structural imbalances, and it ensures the predictability and stability of resources to the states. So this is very important. Now let us see horizontal distribution. So what is horizontal distribution? Horizontal distribution is about the distribution of resources among the states. So from the union, resources has been given to various states. Now among the states, among the various states, the resources has to be distributed. So that is the horizontal distribution. So here what mechanism the Finance Commission has adopted? In fact, the weightage system, weightage mechanism, weightage system has been used by the Finance Commission, and that weightage system in fact by the 15th Finance Commission is focusing on three things. One is the need, the other is the equity, then the performance. So in fact this need based. So when we speak about need based, then the population 15% weightage has been given, then to area, then we have forest and ecology, then we have equity based. So equity based is about the income distance, and the performance based is about the fiscal and tax efforts, and then we have demographic performance. Now see, there are some important things that we need to understand. The first thing is that every state has its own level of development, okay, has its own level of development, has its own history, resources, geography, economy, all these things. That's why the Finance Commission has to balance between various things. For example, balance between the need, the equity, okay, and then the performance, that means the efficiency. So this is how a very daunting task before the 15th Finance Commission, and that's why the weightage system has been evolved. See, during 14th Finance Commission, this population weightage was for 2011 10%, then for 1971 population it was 17.5%, then for area it was 15% during 14th Finance Commission itself, and here it was forest as such, and the weightage was 7.5%. And for income distance the weightage was 50% during the 14th Finance Commission, and this was not there. Performance based was not there for the 14th Finance Commission. Now see, one more thing that we should know, what is this income distance? In fact, income distance, it is computed by taking the distance of each state, by taking the distance of each state from the state which has the highest per capita GSDP, gross state domestic product. So the state, that is the Goa, it is Goa which has the highest per capita GSDP, and from that the distance is calculated, and as per that distance the weightage 45% is assigned. So this is how the weightage system has been devised by the 15th Finance Commission for the horizontal distribution of the resources, net proceeds of taxes, and this is how. Yes, one more thing is that the performance based, here one is this tax and fiscal efforts. So this is in fact there to increase the tax efficiency, okay, the tax efficiency of the states, to incentivize the states, okay, to increase the efficiency of tax collection. So this is how. Then we have demographic performance, and 12.5% weightage has been given. In fact, when the terms of references were assigned to the 15th Finance Commission, then the use of 2011 census, it created much commotion, much ruckus was created. Because if 2011 census was to be used, it means that those states which were performing well on the demographic front would be getting penalized. But by adding this demographic performance 12.5% by the 15th Finance Commission, the states which are performing well in terms of demography are in fact getting some sort of incentives. So this is how. Demographic performance means that states, the efforts by the states to achieve the replacement level of total fertility rate. So the states which are moving more and more to the replacement level, okay, that is performing more and more in terms of demographic performance. So this is how there are three criteria: need based, equity based, and performance based, and corresponding to that the weightages are there given, okay, by the 15th Finance Commission. So this is how the horizontal distribution. Now the second most important function of the 15th Finance Commission or any Finance Commission under Article 280 clause 3 and the specific TOR, this is what we say, is the grants in aid. That is, the Finance Commission has to devise some principle, okay, that will govern giving this grant in aid to the states. So this is how, this is another important function of the 15th Finance Commission, and there are 5 grant components that has been recommended by the 15th Finance Commission. One is the revenue deficit grant, then we have the local government grant. We will be studying this in details. We will be studying a great deal about disaster management grants also. Then we have sector specific grants. See, in terms of sector specific grants, this is the social sector, social sector. In social sector there is health, then education is there. Then we have this in terms of agriculture and rural economy. Agriculture and rural economy. This is sector specific grant. There are 5 grants: revenue deficit grant, local government grant, disaster management grant, a sector specific grant, and a state specific grant. This is the 4th one that we are discussing. These are the components of 4th one, sector specific grants. So there are several social sector, that is the health and education. Then we have agriculture and rural economy. For these grants are there, for example, for agricultural reforms, then for maintenance of Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, roads, and then we have this one. These 3 come under the administrative and governance reform. Administrative and governance reform. And largely these are performance based. These are performance based, incentives based. Okay, incentives based. For example, in case of agricultural reforms, okay, some parameters have been fixed for giving the incentives. For example, there should be land lease reform. Land lease reform should be there. Then there is focus on sustainable and efficient water use. Then export promotion. So there are various parameters on which the states have to perform well in terms of agricultural reform, and based on that the grants will be given. So this is how the performance based and the incentive based grants are there. So these things we have discussed. Now see, revenue deficit grant. In fact, this was one important term of reference for the 15th Finance Commission, that whether the revenue deficit grant should be done away with. But the 15th Finance Commission has said that it should be there. Revenue deficit grant should be there. See, there are some logics behind this revenue deficit grant. The first thing is that if there is changed pattern of tax devolution, then the states need some time to adjust. Okay, because when the pattern of tax devolution gets changed, then the the sources of revenue for the states also gets tinkered with a bit, and that's why the states need time to adjust. Okay, then the second thing is that there is no formula based horizontal devolution which can meet the needs of each state. In fact, each state has its own demands in terms of, say, social needs, in terms of, say, administrative demands. Some states may have its own administrative challenges. Okay, some states may have its own difficulties. For example, high cost in creating infrastructure, physical infrastructure. For example, in northeastern states or Himalayan states, there is high cost in creating the physical infrastructure. So each state has its own unique needs and demands, and no horizontal devolution, any formula for horizontal devolution can solve these problems. Therefore, some revenue deficit grant should be there. As per the 15th Finance Commission, it has been upheld that revenue deficit grant will be there, but it will be tapered off with the passage of time. This is how it is. Now let us see the local government grant. So this is very important dimension. Okay, anytime a question can be directly framed on this aspect, the local government grant and the report of the 15th Finance Commission. This is the aggregate amount that has been allotted, recommended by the 15th Finance Commission for this period. Now see, there are some specific grants, okay, within this local government grant. The first is the performance based grants for incubation of new cities. In fact, this performance based grants for incubation of new cities is being done on a pilot basis. Okay, see, because of increasing urbanization, we need cities, and in creating infrastructure and creating infrastructure in those cities which are old is really something daunting task. So the 15th Finance Commission wants that new cities should be built, because in new cities creating infrastructure would be easier. Okay, the only challenge will be the land acquisition and the rehabilitation. So land acquisition and rehabilitation may be problem there, but creating infrastructure from scratch, from start, will be easier in new cities. Therefore, on pilot basis, some 8,000 crore rupees has been allotted, recommended for incubation of new cities. So this is one important aspect. Then we have shared municipal services. See, shared municipal services has its own significance because there are many small ULBs. Okay, there are many small ULBs, and cluster of that ULBs can bring together their human resources and can give municipal services which are shared. So that's why it will help in the optimization of the resources, in terms of field staff, in terms of expenditure. This is how it is. So meaning that the shared municipal services, many municipal services, for example, issue of the birth certificate, issue of the death certificate, similarly many municipal services can be provided by a cluster of the urban local bodies. So this is how the shared municipal services. So for this also 450 crore of grant has been recommended. Then we have rural local bodies, and in fact for this 2,36,805 crore rupee has been recommended, and this rural yes, this rural local bodies, in fact the amount that has been allotted to this rural local body is 2,36,805 crore, and this will be allotted to states, okay, that too on the basis of 90% weightage to the population and 10% weightage to the area. So this is how rural local bodies, this much amount has been there. See, in terms of rural local bodies, one thing is very important, that all three tiers have been covered. That means the Gram Panchayat, then Panchayat as the middle level, that is the Panchayat Samiti, and then we have this Jila Parishad. So this is how it is. So all the three tiers have been covered, and then also the excluded areas, some areas are excluded under part 9. Okay, then we have 6th schedule and 5th schedule areas also. So all these areas have been covered, but during the 14th Finance Commission recommendations only Gram Panchayat was covered. So this is one important aspect. Okay, so this should be kept in mind. Then after this, the another thing that we should keep in mind is how this 2,36,000 rupee is to be allotted. See, 2,36,805 crore rupee is there for the rural local bodies. Okay, now out of this 40%, okay, 40%, and then we have this 60%. This 40% is untied. Okay, untied, it means that it can be used at discretion. Okay, it can be used at discretion by the Panchayati Raj institutions, and that can be used for the 29 subjects which are given in 11th schedule. So this is how this is untied. It can be used at discretion. Then this 60% is for national priorities. Okay, this 60% fund grant that will be given to the rural local bodies will be used for the national priorities. So out of this, then 30% and 30%. 130% component is for drinking water facilities, rainwater harvesting, okay, rainwater harvesting, water recycling. This is how it is. Then the other 30% will be for sanitation, for maintenance of ODF status. So this is how the amount is to be distributed. So this should be kept in mind. Okay, now let us see the urban local bodies. So the grants for urban local bodies has also been there, and in case of urban local bodies there are two categories of cities. One is the million plus cities, and one is the cities which are having population less than 1 million population. Okay, so if it is more than 1 million population, that is the million plus city, then there is a challenge fund, million plus cities challenge fund is there, and that is the grants in this case is 100% performance linked. Okay, so performance linked grant will be given and out of this fund, some fund will be used for achieving the ambient air quality. Okay, air quality has to be improved. So this is one area where the cities will be performing, and based on that performance the grants will be given. Then the second area where the cities have to perform, in this case in million plus cities case, then the second area is the service level benchmarks. Service level benchmarks in case of drinking water supply, in case of rainwater harvesting. Then we have rainwater harvesting, then we have this water recycling, then solid waste management. So these are some areas where the performance will be there. Then ambient air quality, this is also one area where these cities have to perform, and based on that performance, from the million plus cities challenge fund the grants will be given. So this is how it is. Then we have cities which have less than 1 million population. In that case basic grants are to be given. Okay, and the basic grants, again that basic grant is categorized in the similar fashion as we have seen in case of rural local bodies, that the 40% will be untied. Untied, it means it will be used at discretion, and it will be used for the 18 subjects given in the 12th schedule. Okay, and then 60%. What we are saying about the basic grant, for the, we are discussing the basic grant for the cities having less than 1 million population. Okay, so 40% will be used at discretion, it is untied, and then 60% is tied. That means it will be used for the national priorities. Again 30% will be the for drinking water, sanitation, water recycling. Then this 30% will be for sanitation, solid waste management. This is how it is. So this thing is very important. Now see, one very important fact is that the rural is to urban, this ratio of distribution will be 67:33 in 2021-22, but this will get reduced to 65:35 by 25-26. It means that the percentage of this the resources to urban will increase, and to the rural areas will decrease. That means the Finance Commission is keeping in view the rapid urbanization as such. So this is one important fact that we should keep in mind. Then another important fact that has not been given in this slide, but that is very important, that is very important also, and the fact is that this states, okay, all states shall transfer the grant in aid to the local government within 10 days. Within 10 days. So this is very important, that if the center is transferring grants to the states, then the states will transfer that grant to the local bodies within 10 days. Okay, if within 10 working days, if it is not getting transferred, the grant is not getting transferred, then there will be interest rate charged on the states. Interest rate will be charged on the states. So in some fashion 15th Finance Commission is ensuring that funds, okay, that is getting devolved should reach to the local bodies. So this is how it is. Often we see that the local bodies are facing 3F problem, that is the fund, function and functionaries. So the fund issue is getting resolved because of this recommendation, that if the grants in aid are given to the states, then the states will transfer those grants in aid to the local bodies within 10 working days, otherwise they will have to face interest charge. Okay, so this is how it is. So this is very important. Then for local government grant, another important aspect is this 70,051 crore rupee, okay, for the primary health care. Okay, and this primary health care has to be ensured through local bodies, and this is in fact based on the Kerala model. Okay, So given this ongoing pandemic, COVID also, and given this Kerala model, the 15th Finance Commission is of the view that the primary health care should be ensured through the local bodies. Okay, should be ensured to the local bodies, because involvement of the local government, that means the involvement of the people directly, would ensure that the health system is accountable. Health system is accountable to the people. So this is one important recommendation of the 15th Finance Commission, that for primary health care there should be this much grants to be given, and this primary health care should be ensured through local bodies. So this is very important aspect. Now another thing is that the 15th Finance Commission has put some entry level conditions for availing the grants that we discussed above. So what the 15th Finance Commission has said, it has said that the efficient and smooth functioning and accountability of local bodies are getting affected, and these are getting affected because of various aspects. For example, because the state finance commissions, these are in fact not giving timely recommendation. In fact, timely recommendations of state finance commissions are not coming. Many states, they have still only second state finance commission or fourth state finance commission. So this is how there is lack of seriousness about constituting a state finance commission and taking actions on their recommendations. So this is how, this is one important aspect. Then there is lack of readily accessible and timely accounts. So this is also, accounting system and auditing system is not proper, okay, as desired. Then the property tax revenue, this is not getting mobilized, okay. This is one very important source of revenue for the urban local bodies, but this is not getting mobilized. So these are three important aspects which have been pointed out by the Finance Commission. And the Finance Commission has therefore introduced the entry level condition. It has said that there should be web based availability of the accounts, okay. This is how it is. And when this web based availability of accounts will be there, then it will be one condition getting fulfilled both by the urban local bodies and the Panchayati Raj institutions, okay. Then property tax revenue, this is another important aspect, entry level condition that has to be fulfilled by the urban local bodies, okay. So these two conditions are fulfilled, then they will be eligible for the for availing the grant. See, this one is for both urban local bodies, this in terms of accounts, both for urban local bodies and for the PRIs. And this property tax revenue, mobilization of this one is a condition for the urban local bodies only. So this is how it is. Now let us see the disaster management grants. So this disaster management grant is also very important aspect, and the Finance Commission has made many recommendations. One important recommendation is the mitigation funds. Okay, one important aspect is the mitigation fund. That means the mitigation fund should be there at both national level and at the state level. So this is very important, and this will be used for local level and community based interventions, okay, which reduce risk, promote environment friendly settlements, livelihood practices. For example, if one area is flood prone, okay, so if flood prone, it means that there should be check dams that should be built, wetlands should be restored, then there should be afforestation, reforestation. This is how these things should be done. And who will be doing these things? These things should be done by the participation of the community, should be done at the local level, okay, to reduce the risk and to promote the environment friendly. For example, wetlands are there, afforestation being done, environment friendly settlement will be there. It means livelihood practices, because while doing all these things, livelihood creation will be there, local people will be engaged, okay, in doing all these things, for building check dams, for restoration of wetlands, and for planting trees. So this is how Manrega can also be there. So what is being tried to say that the disaster management grant in this section, the 15th Finance Commission is of the point of view that mitigation fund should be instituted at national and state level, and it should be used for the local level and community based interventions, okay. So this is how it is. Then there is this one, NDRMF, National Disaster Risk Management Fund. So this fund and this much amount has been recommended by the 15th Finance Commission, and out of this 80% will be for National Disaster, perhaps it is Response Fund, and then it is Mitigation Fund. Yes, it is National Disaster Response Fund. Okay, so this has been, out of all this 100%, 80% will be for National Disaster Response Fund, and then 20% will be National Disaster Mitigation Fund. Okay, now out of this response fund, these are three areas where this fund will be used. See, response and relief. So this is at the time of disaster. The response will be there, relief will be there. Then after disaster, that means post disaster, okay, recovery and reconstruction will be done. And then after this, till the next disaster is coming, preparedness and capacity building will be done. So all these three, that means the cycle, this is the cycle of this disaster management. All three aspects of the cycle of disaster management is getting covered, okay, by this National Disaster Response Fund. It is response fund. Then we have mitigation fund. 20% of this fund will be used for 20% of the fund will be used for assistance to drought prone areas, drought prone states, then for managing the various seismic risk and landslide risk, for urban flooding also. So this is how the recommendation of the 15th Finance Commission. In similar fashion, in this fashion itself, NDRF, there is SDRF also, okay, State Disaster Response Management Fund, SDRMF, and corresponding to this SDRMF, this is SDRF, State Disaster Response Fund, and then we have a State Disaster Mitigation Fund, and again here 80% will be there, and here 20% will be there. So on similar pattern, okay, NDRF is there, RMF is there, then we have SDRMF is there. So this is how the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission. Now see, the allocation of NDRMF will be based on expenditure in previous years. So this is one point to be noted. Then the second point to be noted is that SDRF, RMF, in this case for a State Disaster Risk Management Fund, states will be contributing 25%, but for northeastern states and Himalayan states, this will be 10%. Then we have another important note that is the allocation to SDRMF should be based on past expenditure. So the experiences of the past expenditure. Then we have the area, population and disaster risk index, because each state has its own vulnerability, has its own profile of disaster. So based on these aspects also, SDRF, RMF will be allocated. Okay, so these important points should be kept in mind. Okay, now see, if such case arises when NDRMF and SDRMF will fall short, then where the resources will come, the finance will be coming. Then in that case, the Finance Commission, 15th Finance Commission has recommended these areas. That means the bonds, reconstruction bonds can be floated. Okay. Then we have crowdfunding platforms. Many crowdfunding is being done these days. Then we have corporate social responsibility. Then again from the international financial institutions like Asian Development Bank, World Bank. So these are some areas from where resources can be raised. So this is how the 15th Finance Commission. And one very important recommendation is the insurance mechanism. So this is one very innovative, okay, aspect by the 15th Finance Commission, that risk pool for infrastructure protection and recovery. So for infrastructure protection and for recovery of the infrastructure itself, there should be some insurance mechanism. So this is very innovative idea by the 15th Finance Commission. Okay. And also national insurance scheme should be there for some disaster related deaths, not only death, rather disaster related deaths. So insurance mechanism has also been recommended by the 15th Finance Commission. Now let us see the we have already discussed the sector specific grants and the state specific grants. So already we have discussed the various things. Then let us see These things we have almost discussed above, that there should be there is performance based grants, incentives based grants for health, education, agriculture we have discussed how for agricultural reform, land lease reform and various things. Yes, now let us see this defense and internal security. This is what the additional TOR, term of reference, given by the president to the finance commission. So this is how it is. So in this case, the 15th Finance Commission has said that, has recommended that the union government may constitute in the public account of India. See, there are various accounts of India: consolidated fund of India, then we have contingency fund of India, then we have public account of India. So this is how we should be knowing, we are expected to know what these things are. So the 15th Finance Commission has recommended that union government may constitute in the public account of India a dedicated, it is a dedicated fund and non-lapsable fund, okay, for this MFDIS. Okay, so this should be kept in mind. Then we have, there are 4 specific sources of fund. The 4 sources specific of fund, specific sources of fund. These are the transfers from the consolidated fund of India. Then we have disinvestment proceeds from defense public sector enterprises. This is how it is. Then proceeds from the monetization of surplus defense land. Many defense lands are surplus, so if monetization is being done, so proceeds from that monetization can be used for this modernization fund for defense and internal security. This is how, this is modernization fund for defense and internal security. And then proceeds of receipts from defense land likely to be transferred to state governments and for public projects. So there are 4 specific sources, okay, that will contribute to this modernization fund for defense and internal security. One is the transfer from the consolidated fund of India, then this investment proceeds from defense public sector enterprises. Then if any surplus defense land is getting monetized, then from that also, and of course there are many defense lands which can be transferred to the state or for any public project. So from there also there can be some receipts, so that can also contribute to the this modernization fund for defense and internal security. Now see, what will be the purpose of this fund? So the purpose of this fund will be CAPEX, capital expenditure for modernization of defense services, then CAPEX for the central armed police forces, modernization of state police also. See, this is how internal security, okay, internal security, modernization of state police, CAPF, this also comes under internal security. Then we have this welfare fund for soldiers and paramilitary personnel also. This is also one important area where the fund can be used for. So this is how the recommendation of this 15th Finance Commission, that there will be a dedicated non-lapsable fund, modernization fund for defense and internal security. Okay. Then 2 other important aspects that we need to keep in mind, that the Ministry of Defense should take measures to bring down salaries and pension liabilities. So this is one important dimension where the 15th Finance Commission has given its recommendations, that the salaries and pension, it should get rationalized, it should be brought down. Okay. Then other important aspect is on the 15th Finance Commission is saying that there should be reduction of dependence on defense import. That means there should be more and more indigenization, okay, in defense sector. So this is how the 15th Finance Commission has also emphasized on indigenization, okay. And one important aspect is the rationalization of the salaries and pension liabilities. So this is how the 15th Finance Commission recommendations for the defense and internal security. Now to conclude, friends, this 15th Finance Commission has in fact consulted various stakeholders, the union, then the states, various states, local bodies, various economists, organizations, all these things, and after consulting many stakeholders, various stakeholders, the 15th Finance Commission has in fact submitted its report, and of course, amidst various challenges, it has tried to ensure some fair, reasonable and equitable distribution of resources. So this is how we come to the conclusion of our discussion. Hope you all have enjoyed our discussion. If there is any feedback, then you all are welcome. you.